Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fabric Tech Talk Fridays. I'm your host, Patrick LeBlanc, and today we're going to talk about the Spark engine. But before we get into that, I want to introduce you to our guest, Estera. Before we get into any of this great Spark engine stuff, why don't you tell the people who you are and what you do?
Hey everyone, pleasure to be here. My name is Estera Kot. I'm the CTO at Clouds on Mars. We are a Microsoft featured partner based in Zurich, Switzerland, and also half-time based in Poland. And I used to work on the Azure Synapse and Fabric product group at Microsoft. That's why it's even greater pleasure for me to be here.
Huh? Awesome. All right. So I will tell you, I am a SQL Server engine guy. I've been working with SQL Server many, many years, and then Fabric came out, and there's like, oh, you need to start learning some stuff about Spark. I'm getting there. I'm learning, and so I'm really excited about this session because I need to know how to optimize. I need to know how to optimize my Spark sessions, and so let's just kind of get into this, Sarah. How do you want to start? Where do you want to take us?
Yeah, I want to talk today about like three basic fundamental Spark features in Fabric
Okay.
that can save you money, save you time, as I'm assuming that everyone is co-piloting the Spark code. In Apache Spark, we can basically write the code with using four different languages. One is Scala. Uh, the second is Scala, similar, let's say, similar to Java with some caveats. Second would be PySpark. So for all of the Python lovers, the easiest to learn. The third one is Spark SQL. So for you, Patrick, for those who are starting and moving from the SQL Server and also from the T-SQL language, this is the best way to write the code in Spark SQL. And the last is for the statisticians or for people who are dealing more with forecasting libraries. There is also R library. And everyone is co-piloting the code. The code is there, but then we hear how to make it faster, how to make
Yeah.
it cheaper.
Yeah, it's funny. So I'm doing a video on using shortcuts and materialize lake views to build out your medallion architecture. And I have a small fact table, and I'm using Spark SQL. I'm writing everything in Spark SQL. I've abandoned Python. I'm just going with SQL. And so I look at the refresh of my material lake views, and everything's really fast except for my fact table. It's got some rows in it, but it's not enough. And I want to know how to make it faster. So maybe I can learn a few things and get a few tips right here. So let's take it away. What's our first tip?
Yeah, what you mentioned, the lovely is that you see the effect that something should be faster. It means
Yes.
that yes, you finally start to touch big data, not only small
Ah,
tables, but Spark is designed for big data. It's a library that is built for concurrent data processing. That's why
um,
today just three features. Number one, I will talk about starter pools and capacity management. As in the end, we are using everything in Fabric based on specific capacity. Number two, quick win, a native execution engine that is making your jobs running faster. Number three, it's going to be about for Power BI users, or when you use Power BI for serving, then you need to enable the order and also want you to take a look at resource profilers, as then you can get pretty easily boost from 10 even to 15%, 15 times, sorry, not percent, 15
wow, 15
times faster.
times. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. And so I would tell you, every workspace I create, maybe I create, 20 workspaces, and there's probably only one that's not using that custom starter pool, and that's just because I wanted to create a profile because I needed to upload some specific libraries or something like that. And I didn't want to pip install it every time. And so I'm like, I can't use a starter pool. I want to do this. So I'm anxious to hear about what you're going to say about these starter pools.
Yeah, I think that let's dig in, and also I want to share a screen as prepared just a notebook to show you the code. As I assume that for us Python lovers, Scala lovers, and Spark lovers, the notebook is a central place where we manage everything happening in Microsoft Fabric. That's why first of all, I wanna talk about the starter pools. So here, a starter pool in Spark is a physical cluster that thankfully to Microsoft, we don't have to manage. Microsoft keeps that running for us, ready for us. And when we have just a code, just a single cell with a code, and we start running it, then what's happening? We just connect. So Microsoft is connecting us to that cluster, and within 5 to 10 seconds, we are getting the job executed. So basically, pre-ready, pre-warm pools, compute pools that are waiting for us. And what's even more important is that basically we don't pay for the startup time. So basically here, a very important point is that we only pay, and this is like differentiator when we compare Fabric with the competitors. So we only pay for the code that is actually running. So we use starter pools for a quick data exploration and troubleshooting for small transformation. But now there's the point. We use custom pools
Yeah.
for big production workloads, for machine learning training, for anything what needs a larger memory, and many times we need to install some custom libraries. And this is the point when we, and now going back to the screen, we need to configure the custom pools on the workspace level. And then all of the jobs, all of the computations will not only happen on the default pools, but on that customized. So important point: whenever you are installing a library through pip install or whatever different way, per your language, you want to use environment. And then when you create a testing environment, for example, demo, let's create a new one. So when you create an environment, you can customize this environment to be based on specific compute capabilities. And by default, the environment, the first one, is based on the starter pools. And here, if you want to use the custom pools on the workspace level, we need to define what's the new custom pool and then reassign that.
And so the thing that I notice, and so maybe you're going to talk about this or not, when I use these custom pools, they're a little slower to start up.
Yes, because they need to be customized just for you, right? And
Yep.
the starter pools are shared resources
Yep.
for everyone. And Microsoft is making sure that for the customers, for all of the users, the pools are ready, prepared, meeting all of the security requirements. So no issue with that. But because of the customization, because of your specific Spark settings,
Yep.
specific library, it has to be some time. And recently, Microsoft did a great progress to make sure that the custom pools are running within minutes, not within hours.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. My workspace, I built out this medallion architecture, and it's a good volume of data. And I specifically created my custom pool for all the libraries. I was like 3 or 4 libraries that I needed to install, and I didn't want to manage that across all my notebooks with pip installs. So it was just easier. Yep.
Yes, and now if you are using whatever custom, like recommending custom pools as
Mhm.
for customization, it's wise to do something once, like installing a library, not always making sure that pip install or a different library is installed or unconfigured. But then once we start working, we quickly realized that more and more times we are having a challenge with having access to Spark sessions. It's another context and concept that we will do not deep and dive into very much. But what I want you to try is just enable high concurrency mode just
Okay.
to save money. So just to give you an example, we have, me and you, we have 5 notebooks. Each
Okay.
of us is using, right?
Mhm.
And normally every notebook will use at least one Spark session. 5
Sure.
notebooks, 5 Spark session.
Mhm.
So think about that 5 different bills.
Yep.
And here with a concurrency mode, all of my notebooks, assuming I have 5,
Mhm.
will start to use the same session, share one Spark session. So for
Wow.
5 notebooks, sharing one Spark session means 80% of the saving. And how to enable it? Super easily. So basically we connect, we create a new high concurrency session, and That's it. And when I will go to the lake house and will start to do my favorite feature load to Delta
Yeah.
or do other operations, I will reuse the session.
So I'm assuming if I go into this high concurrency mode, right, I can have more notebooks running on my my Spark
Yeah.
compute, but there's got to be limits, right? There's got to be limits on. I can't have 1,000 notebooks running. I need to be able to monitor this and check what's going on.
Yes, at the end, I think that whatever the current number is written in documentation is parameterized. There is a limit how many Spark sessions we can have. We can request for sure we can request the product group to have more. But what's important, it's not about giving you a fish. It is about teaching you how to fish. So
That's
at
right.
the end, let's think about what's behind. What's
Yep.
behind?
Yep.
Behind it, there is a capacity, and for
Yes.
Spark clear calculation. So one capacity unit will equal to 2 Spark vCores.
Got it.
So if we have the F64, so the trial or previous trial, not sure if the current trial have S64, but F64 means that we have 64 capacity units. It means I have 128 Spark vCores.
Right.
And here everything what we are doing in terms of the sessions and job execution, we have to map, okay, what's the capacity I have? What is the number of vehicles I have to be used? And now going to the very lovely feature, bursting. So Fabric gives us 3 times burst multiplier. So basically, if I have F64, it can burst to 384 vCores for a spike. But let's remember, this is the strategy for emergency, not
Yeah.
for survival. So
Not for survival.
basically, let's do not design our production solution just to be based on the bursting strategy.
But let's reiterate that. So don't when you start designing out your system, if you're getting throttling, if you're looking at your capacity metrics app and you're just hitting the point of no return, just because bursting is there, that's not what we're saying to use for production, right? If you start bursting and you start getting throttling, you should really look at optimizing what's on your capacity to ensure you stay within the bounds of what you've purchased.
Exactly, exactly. So that will help us to survive in a peak moment, but that will not help us to sustain and make sure that the production solutions are running wisely. So for sure, we need to reconsider what is the SKU we are using, whether it's not too small, and then let's go back to the optimization. And optimization, I would suggest and skip to the native execution engine, because if we need just more vCores in many situations, we should consider enabling, or most of the cases, we should consider enabling a native execution engine. So basically a feature that we just enable through the configuration. I put it that at the bottom, just through Spark native enabled tools, so through one line of code, or through environment, inside environment, we have just a checkbox to enable it. And the most important, we do not rewrite the code. As it
Ah,
is, it works,
so
right?
So the first thing is custom pools, right? Go from your starter
Yes,
pool to your custom pools. The next thing is use the accelerator, right? The native engine
yes,
is an accelerator. Okay, keep going. I just want to make sure.
yes.
I just want to stay on tap. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, custom pools then enable a high concurrency mode,
Oh, high
and
concurrency.
then let's make sure what's the SKU you are using, and
Mhm.
then let's go to the optimization. And for majority of the task, native execution engine will bring the boost. As if we are using some super simple queries, select star from the name of the table, yeah, we are rather not doing that for production, right? For
Yeah.
production, and Spark is designed for big computations. And for big computation, as you mentioned at the beginning, you are processing some fact tables, then you have some joins, you have some filtering, you have some grouping by. Perfect. The most complicated query, the better native execution engine is going to bring you the value. So the product group, as well as together with customers, we are running different benchmarks, but at the end, we don't need to run a benchmark to see the impact. And the impact is there from 2 times, even up to 8 times faster running without the code changes, because native execution engine is built natively C with C++, and it's optimizing the job execution that is happening behind.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Number 3.
Yes, number 3, we are
Yeah.
going further. Lots of optimizations we can do as well with just job level execution. At the same time, number 3 is for Power BI, meaning
Yeah.
that Fabric is like the next, like the big umbrella. Every Power BI user is having Microsoft Fabric. So basically, people having is having Power BI. So basically, if you use Power BI for serving, you want to have one optimization enabled, and this optimization is the ordered. It's Fabric exclusive optimization for Power BI. The order, this is a compaction algorithm. It's making sure that the data is reorganized in the lakehouse, in a delta tables, optimized in a way that the Vertiparquet engine, so the engine reading from Power BI, can read that in the best efficient way. So same data, different layout, but not for us, basically for Lakehouse,
Yes.
and it's running faster. But this is very important that if we read the data from Power BI, make sure you enable the order, because if we follow the medallion architecture, and for example, we have the processing from bronze, so from raw data to the silver clean stage, many times in between those two stages, we have thousands of pipelines and zero Power BI. But if we have the gold layer, the final layer for serving, always enable the order, as that can bring the value in terms of the performance without any cost. And in Fabric, we pay for the usage, so lower usage in terms of the capacities, we pay less and are happy more.
Wow. It's exciting. So 3 things. If you're using Spark in Fabric, there's 3 things you need to make sure you do. There's some subtopics in it, but 3 things you need to make sure you do. V-order. If you're using Power BI,
Yes.
make sure you at least in the serving layer, right?
Yes.
Custom pools. They work great for small workloads, but when you start to get into really heavy operations, lots of data, you want to look at doing custom starter pools. And the last thing, right? The last thing you want to look at is high concurrency. And it's something I'll be honest, I have not taken a look at the high concurrency model, but I will definitely take a look at that in the next project I work on. Estera, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come hang out with myself over here at Fabric Tech Talk. If this is your first time visiting the Fabric YouTube channel, you know what to do. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you like our video, it's a big thumbs up. And if you have any questions or comments about this Spark optimization, you know what to do. Post it in the comments below. As always, from Estera, Microsoft, and this guy, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Friday. Thank you everyone for watching. If you found this video valuable, don't forget, hit that like button.
If this is your first time visiting the Microsoft Fabric YouTube channel, be sure to smash that subscribe button.
Drop a comment below on what you'd like to see on future episodes of Fabric Tech Talk Fridays.
That's it for today. See you all next Friday for another deep dive into Microsoft Fabric.